Sup here. Wanted to talk about the new Warzone map that came out. Buzz of the day is if you go into spectator mode or in multiplayer, in certain multiplayer maps, you can actually explore the next Warzone map, Avalon. It actually turns out that Avalon, the map itself, the entire Warzone map, is pretty much pre-rendered and ready to go in the files in the game right now. And so people have been exploring, and I did some exploration last night. I believe they patched it this morning, so if you haven't checked it out, you're probably too late. But one of the things that that has come out with the discovery of this map is that is it possible that this is actually going to be a second map this year, or is this the map we're actually getting this year and we're not getting Verdansk? And the reality is no. We're not getting the map this year, this game cycle. We're not getting it in lieu of Verdansk. We will almost certainly get it when Black Ops 7 launches, either the end of 2025 or the very start of 2026. And so that begs the question of why is it in the game, right? And so I wanted to touch base a little bit on why this would be in the game, how this works, and what to expect with this map going forward. So if you've missed it, this map appears in the game. Here's kind of an overlay I grabbed off of Twitter, and you can see kind of people have gone through, and these are individuals. They've gone through and identified different points of interest, and identified kind of where what this map looks like. And you can actually go through and fly around the map. And I'm going to play some video in a minute of me doing just that. But the thing that people don't think about is when you're designing a game like this and you have a lot of maps that are all going to be based in the same space. For example, like we had in Verdansk, we had lots of maps that we played on for ground war and for multiplayer, and these maps existed on Verdansk, right? We pulled the points of interest from Verdansk and just made multiplayer maps from them. And so the way that they do this is they have two choices. They could start from scratch and like copy the sections of files they need over from the Warzone map into its own file, and then they can start over. And the problem is that adds a lot of extra volume that you need on storage, right? It takes space to do it. It takes time to rebuild these maps from scratch. Or what you can do is you can take this map and you can create, the Verdansk map, and you can define a boundary around certain points of the map. And then when you load that map in multiplayer, you just load the version that is bound, right? And that's how we've gotten so many Verdansk era maps. That's how they've been able to create extra Warzone maps, right? We had Fortress Resurgence, which was terrible. If you've forgotten about it, I don't blame you. We had Superstore Resurgence recently. And they've done this over and over again with different maps and different environments, both in multiplayer and in Warzone. And what they're doing is they're basically taking the map that they've already created for Warzone, and they're just partitioning off and just kind of like fencing off certain areas of it for certain modes. And that's a much easier way to create maps from a development standpoint. The downside of that is in order to do that, you have to have the map in the game in its entirety, because you can't partition, otherwise you're back to square one. You're breaking apart the maps. So what I want everyone to think about when they hear the rumors that, oh, we're going to have all of these great, all this new Warzone map, the reality is we're not going to have this map this year, but we were supposed to, right? And I think what's been established is that we were supposed to have this map, and they've been working on this for a while. And then right around the end of MW3, MW2, the launch, somewhere in there, they decided that they were going to go back to Verdansk. And we started, the rumors all came out kind of the end of MW2, early MW3, that Verdansk was going to come back in some form. Rebirth Island was coming back. And we got Rebirth Island early. And, my personal theory based on things that I've been told is that basically they saw Fortnite's success with their OG map and decided that they wanted to capitalize that and bring people back with Verdansk, which I don't think is a bad decision. We all love Verdansk. As long as they do it right, I think we'll all enjoy it. But what that means is this map that they had in progress that they've already committed multiplayer maps to, okay, then they don't like what they can't just break this map up and start over. So that means they've had to put, you know, at least part of this map in, and they've likely only finished the areas that they're going to use. But as you can see in the video, the whole map is here. The whole map renders in. It looks bad, but it's rendered in. It exists. It's in the game files. And this is kind of what was supposed to be our upcoming map. It should have launched probably in December. Okay, maybe late November, maybe right after Thanksgiving. But this is what we were supposed to get. And the reality is, because they shifted gears, because they changed their plans, but they've already committed multiplayer maps to being based on Avalon, they have to put Avalon in the files. It has to be there for the maps they've created to work, all right? And so when you do that, it creates an opportunity for people like us who kind of players that go into it and kind of are willing to take the time to poke around. We can find these things sometimes. And you could actually find this in Verdansk. If you could boot up 2019, you can see Verdansk in ground war maps. You can see Verdansk in other maps. What is that third mode? In the co-op mode, you can look around while you're playing those modes, and you can actually see the whole of Verdansk in its entirety. The map's there. It's not rendering all the way because it's not being asked to, but it's there, just like this. And that's really what we're dealing with here. It's not a secret map. It's not coming out soon. It's not going to be a map rotation. If it was, they would advertise that. They would definitely have been advertising that. But what we're getting instead is going to be, this map is almost certainly going to be not this year's map, but next year's map. Unless they decide to scrap it entirely, which from a resource standpoint doesn't make sense. And it would be a crying shame because it does look like a very nice map. So that's what's going on. If you have any questions, obviously throw it down in the chat. I believe they've closed the loophole, so you can no longer explore this map. So I'm glad I was able to do that last night. But generally, yeah, look forward to Verdansk coming out probably around the 5-year anniversary of the game, early March, second week of March. And until then, let's hope they have some stuff in store for Urzikstan, because I really like to not play the exact same map we had at launch again. All right, that's all I got for you today. I'll catch you on the next one.